No time for an intro today. There is plenty to talk about. Bitcoin on the lower term timeframes, actually very, very interesting right here. And then, of course, Mr. Buteral on the higher term timeframes, the star of the market right now. And is that likely to continue is the real question. I'm sure that everyone's wondering right now. Well, with that said, I would like to wish you the best, and the happiest. Why? Because it's free to do. And also, you can only make things better, I do believe. Anyways, with that said, I would like to put the folks over here in the Krown chain application, which we found at app.krownchain.net. And what do we see? Bitcoin dominance still sliding. So the reversal is real. And most altcoins versus Bitcoins having a nice little rally right here and likely to extend that over time. But what else do we see as far as open interest goes? Actually coming down a little bit from yesterday to today. We were just hovering right above 5.5 billion with a B. Now coming down to about 5.3 billion with a B once again. And more importantly, what is price action doing within the current context of that? Coming down to the low side of the range. So long still taking profits. But as I said, there's actually some really important things to go over on Bitcoin today, which can actually start to really make me look for a greater retracement. Have they happened just yet? No. Are they a potential to happen today? Absolutely yes. So I do think that it's very much relevant to be focusing on. Also, fear and greed index coming down 3 whole points. Holy shit. Is that a 75? I don't think we've seen a 75 since... Hold on, let's go into the data tab over here. Where is it? Yeah, we haven't seen 75 since, Jesus Christ, man, that was late October. Wow. Anyways, more importantly with this, I should say, while we are here on the Krown chain application, the new facelift, the new version of the app is going to be going live next week, actually. So keep an eye out for that, as that is going to be phenomenally different. It's going to allow you a shit ton more customization. I'll make a video for it as well, but it should be pretty damn self-explanatory, and it will be very appreciated by myself at the very least. So hopefully you find it valuable as well. Anyways, as always, it will be the base functionality that will certainly be free. Anyways, looking at the funny rate down here, do we see anything out of the ordinary? No, we do not. FTX leading the party as usual, but way the fuck out there, and everyone else is below 0.04%. Even Phoenix posting a negative rate right now, which is very interesting, although that one does come from a margin funding pool, so that would actually make a little more sense. Bitcoin being hard to borrow, as we actually do see a lot of Bitcoin still escaping exchanges. I was actually looking at a chart earlier this morning, and it does look like people are, the supply from exchanges is just being drawn at a fucking astronomical rate. I'm always a little bit skeptical when I see data like that, because it's very difficult to verify, and we don't have too much history for it, but the response, more importantly, is real, and that's actually what you would expect to see on a margin funding style exchange. Now, of course, this does not apply to like your derivatives, your FTXs, your BitMEXs, those sorts of ones, but only the ones that operate off of a pool. Anyways, into the actual price action charts we go. Is there anything else that I want to say today? No, that's it. There we go. All right, Mr. Buteral on the 3-day. I want to start off with the long-term time frame. So, of course, what did we see yesterday? Did it hold the critical $1,300 level? Yes, indeed it did. Actually having a closing price closer to 1,400 right there. Not bad. 1378 and a half, looking pretty damn good. Got a backfill as soon as we get the new open, it looks like, and I would be looking at that at this area as at the very least a bounty bounce territory. And if we go down and pinpoint in the lower term timeframes, where would that target be? Well, actually it's looking a little bit droopy in the short term timeframes, but what I would say is essentially going off of the higher low that it did print yesterday at 1270-ish region, as long as that is protected, meaning that as long as there's no closes below, I'd look for this area right here to actually get accumulated reaccumulated in this case, and obviously bounce off this region as it does get the back test in and rally back up towards 1400 if that's going to be the case. Now that also does mean that we have a very obvious pivot to be working off of now in the short-term timeframes for Mr. Buteral specifically, and that is going to be once again that 1270-ish region. On the other side, if that were to break, which that would not be my first interpretation of it, but now, going onwards and forwards here, have to move all the levels up as this does start to, prove itself, I guess. Then I'd be looking for a move down, again, if and only if that breaks, likely back down to about 11,000, not 11,000, down to 11,000, 1150, $1,150. Maybe even $1,100 base, but that would be quite the move from right here, and that would be my criteria for that being set up. Anyways, going over the higher term timeframes as they are right now, daily is got a one massive hangman dildo in there right now, although to be fair, it's not necessarily at the top, so it doesn't necessarily count. More importantly, what do we see? We do see that the DMI plus is technically still dominant. The ADX is still strengthening right here, but it needs to bounce off. It doesn't need to bounce. It doesn't need to do anything, but you'd expect it to bounce off this level right here if that signature is going to continue upwards and onwards. DMI minus is very much not dominant, so it's not necessarily in what's it called, in danger of flipping. But more importantly, I want to see the DMI plus get picked up again. That's going to obviously be clarified at today's daily closure at 7 p.m. Eastern time. On top of that, MACD, technically speaking, still to the upside here. Today's going to be a big day, because if we do see this obviously break below that same area that we just laid out on the 4 hour at about 1270 it was, then we very likely will see daily MACD turn back down as well. And that's actually going to come alongside a structural break, obviously, because that would be your 1300 level, which is relevant for the daily. And as long as Buteral is above there, I do remain more bullishly inclined with this, with the upside objectives of, I mean, I guess I'd be looking at 1600 next, and then we can talk about 1800 and 2000. Not bad. But again, this condition must be met. If these start to revert, start to break, then, well, like I said, targets to the downside will be about 1150 first target. I'd be looking for a bounce there, and then I want to see it in real time after that. What else do we want to check out while we're here on Mr. Buteral? 2-day, same thing, back filling up so far. DMI plus looking still okay as ADX strengthens. This is kind of what I want to see on the daily alongside this. And what's very interesting right here is that as Mr. Buteral is in the process of making new all-time highs, we're seeing these setups in their infancy right here. So that means that if we do see this really start to turn up, then yes, I would really look for, not just those moves up to, what was it, 1600 and 1800 respectively. Realistically, it's probably going to gun for like $2,000 plus, and then we'll come back to it in real time and start to pinpoint a little bit more down. But for right now, the setup is certainly there. It's just now we really want to see it actually pick it up. As in this next 48 hours, I would say, even in the next 24 hours, pretty damn critical. So with that in mind, this is the time to be paying attention. This is the time to be watching altcoins specifically, and more importantly, Mr. Buteral right here. On top of that, we do have the 3-day, which is closing tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern time. This is the most obvious one right here, because it has such a picturesque setup. If it can do this one thing, it's like fucking marketer talk, Jesus Christ. Anyways, if it can close above the top side Toronto band here, which is 1370-ish, about 1370 right now, then yes, I would be looking for this to, pick itself up. We're going to see also DMI plus remain dominant as the ADX strengthens. You'd imagine that the 2-day and the daily would also fall through as well, being that they are lower term timeframes in relation to a 3-day right here, and MACD obviously would remain upside angled as well. So all of those, if met, would make me start to look for, like I said, those further targets to the upside. Sorry about the stutter right there. I know it's fucking annoying, but those further targets to the upside, maybe small pullbacks off the 1600 and 1800 level, but ultimately 2000 plus is, very, very likely where that would lead to. Anyways, do we have anything on the weekly here as well? Weekly still trending above the top side Toronto band as well. It's hard to hate in its current structure, so fair enough. That's Buteral on the higher term time frames. Let's actually go over Bitcoin right now, or should we flip around too much? You know what? I'll save Bitcoin for its own, because Bitcoin actually is a lot more relevant on the short term time frames. Let's go over here and look at Mr. Buteral on my regular tools as well, just because here's the general feeling anyways, is that if Buteral is leading the market and we are in a rotational market, which you would expect in a strong uptrend for, well, basically all cryptos, then a strength in Ethereum is going to spill on over into Bitcoin, similar to how when Bitcoin was kind of holding below $20,000 and putting a nice constructive rally and just breaking out, all the other major cryptos were kind of still consolidating and being a little bit lame in their ass with not so much oomph as what you saw with Bitcoin, which is why their US dollar pairing typically would go up. However, their Bitcoin Satoshi pairing would be going down. Anyways, with this right here, if Buteral pulls through, I'd be looking for it to spill on over into Bitcoin over time. But for now, it's eyes on the alts with this one specific, as I kind of look at it as a general index for altcoins. Anyways, do we see anything here that we didn't already see on the other chart? Okay, so first and foremost, there are a couple things to be aware of. If we do come back down and take out yesterday's low, that would be 1234.5, and this is on BitMexico, then we actually will start to trigger bearish divergence between this point and this point. Significant bearish divergence, to be fair, and then targets would be initiated towards your 1130, 1150-ish region. So that is, a decent move, especially for an asset that is, trading about $1,300. That'd be about a 10% move. Not bad. and bounces implied along those regions. However, those bounces, can they get sold into? Yes, but I want to see that in real time before I talk about that. For now, I actually do still favor the upside here. Call me crazy. Anyways, daily Stokes still looking okay, and will remain to the upside as long as we're above 13.15. So keep in mind where the momentum does start to turn back up again. And by the way, I was wrong about this yesterday. In the settings, actually, the correct settings would be to use next, as I spoke with the developer of it, and I was a little bit confused myself, because current, I would think that that's like your current bar, but next actually makes more sense, because you want to see what the price actually would be on the next one as it opens, so that it can maintain that same structure, if that makes sense. Anyways, with that said, what do we see on daily RSI? We already said potential bearish divergence can be confirmed. However, needs to take out yesterday's low. If that doesn't happen, no bearish divergence as it is just yet. We have no local high confirmed. What about a 12-hour right here? 12-hour still looks fine to me. I don't have any major issues with this. Yes, we did have a little bit of bearish divergence. I think it was coming into yesterday. That played out, though. So far, so good on the response for that. So I don't have any major issue with that either. Anything on the 2-day or 3-day? 2-day is very, very obviously in a strong uptrend. 3-day, same shit. What about 4-hour? Going down lower term time frames over here. Not getting much from this. We did play out a little bit of hidden bullish divergence from this tick right here. But essentially, what I'm looking for now is the last 4-hour low to hold. As long as that area does hold, I'm just generally looking for it to get reaccumulated and try another move back up towards 1400, and then have specific interest on those closures coming later tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern time for the daily and 3-day respectively. If those conditions are met, I remain bullish with those overhead targets in mind. Anyways, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Blah 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 blah. Have a nice day. Okay, let's go check out Mr. Bitcoin, seen as usually the star of the show, but not as of recent. What do we see right here on the on our daily charts? Problems actually. 9 exponential moving average crossing the downside of the 20. Simple, not a death sentence in and of itself, but we haven't seen this actually happen since way the fuck back over here, which was a bit of a fake out to be fair. But as you can see, it regained those levels and regained that cross almost instantaneously after getting it. It maybe took about 24 to 36 hours to actually get that. Before that, do we see any good? Over here a little bit more just of a sideways market. So it's not a death sentence, but it does start to call into question the immediate trend, obviously, which we kind of already know as it is a sideways consolidation. So this is not really that useful here. Is there anything that I'd like to look at on the 2-day or 3-day? 3-day still riding the non-exponential, but I don't put a shit ton of weight on that, to be honest with you. What I want to see for the 3-day, which again is having a closure later tonight, is this. Does the DMI plus remain dominant? Probably does, but does the ADX start to strengthen alongside of it? If you see that signature, then very likely Bitcoin, does pull itself together and follow Mr. BTFD to the upside. Well, I guess in this case, BTFD just making new all-time highs, whereas Bitcoin's like, 100% above its prior all-time high. Fair enough. You know what I mean? Rotations essentially in this regard. So I'd be looking for it to put in a rally, after Ethereum gets its in. Anyways, am I getting anything else out of this? What about the daily right here? I still, the daily MACD is very obviously a bullish reset here. DMI ADX is actually showing the DMI minus maybe almost dominant, almost there. It's nearly there while the ADX actually does strengthen. So that'd be a little bit of a counterpoint to what I was looking at on the 3-day, or it's not necessarily a counterpoint. It'd just be saying, hey, respect the other side of this one too. And you know what? I'm going to go back down over here to the short-term timeframes, and that's actually going to be the crux of my message here today for Mr. Bitcoin, and it is this. With the advent of yesterday's price action, which, yes, we were looking for a move down to this $33,000 to $34,000 level, of which we got. Actually, how low did we get there? Hey, 33333. Nice. It's like lucky numbers all in a row. This is starting to have a signature of a distributive pattern. This would be a descending triangle right here. We do have our descending highs coming in from here. I'm sure everyone's been drawing their fucking stupid triangles from like all the way over here and doing it like this. No, that's not correct. And for the love of fucking God, neither is this. Jesus Christ. No, it has to be on the same formation. So fair enough. Anyways, what do we see right here? If Bitcoin does break below the actual support of this, which would be let's call it 33,500, then technically speaking, this would have a measure move going all the way down past 30,000 bucks to 28,500. So I would keep an eye on this one right here. Obviously, this is relevant for a 4-hour. If I were to look at this on a 12-hour or a daily, do we have the same sort of issues in mind here? Yeah, 12 hours actually very clearly put in a nice little low support right here. But again, you know, that is starting to look more and more like a descending triangle coming off the highs, which, like I said, is a disputed pattern. Now, of course, if you are going to play a descending triangle, which this is not financial advice, I'm not a financial advisor, and at the end of the day, all patterns, you know, can and will fail. What I'd be looking for some like on this is, and let me just fucking draw it right to begin with, because this is gonna really, my OCD really gets going with that shit. You know, the right way to play it, at least in my opinion, because I do find that triangles are pretty damn playable. Other formations, nah, not really. But in this case right here, if it does break below this level again, 33,500, that is going to be your structural break, and well, that's at the point when I do start to look for a move down below 30,000 bucks. 28,500 is where I'd be looking towards. Until that happens, though, do I think that it just kind of grinds this area out and generally floats its way back on up? Yes, I do. just based off of the rotations where Ethereum is kind of leading now. What would undo this devilishness as well? If Bitcoin can come back up and even just take out this last high right here on a closing basis, that would be 37,400. On a wick basis, that would be about 38,000. Looks like if it can do one of those two things, doesn't matter which one, just one of those two things, then no longer do we have a descending triangle in place, and I'd essentially be looking for another move back up towards 40,000 bucks and probably beyond. So keep in mind that this, you know, this range right here is very, 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 very critical now. We've identified this range over the last week and a half between 37.5 and about, well, I mean, realistically, it's like 30 to the downside, but we'll call it 33.5 right here to the downside. And as long as price action remains between there, we don't really have any major biases on, or at least I don't have any major biases on direction. I guess, you know, I still go with the upside because it is a trend. But in this case, if we do start to break below here, my bias is downside. If we break above here, my bias is towards, well, basically new all-time highs. You know, again, the same areas to the upside as we've overlaid for the last, I don't know, for like the last month and a half now would still be very much relevant. You know, obviously 44,000, 45,000 right here. Nice little pullback areas. But ultimately, I'd really be looking towards, this is going to sound stupid, but you know, 55 to 60,000 in fact. So you know, still got a lot of work to do, and I wouldn't necessarily call it broken until we actually, you know, actually see that move above or below this short-term range right here. But if that does happen, well, now we have our next potential major trade in mind, as we are talking about, well, quite the move on both sides. I mean, to the downside, we're talking about almost like an $8,000 move. $6,000 to $8,000 move. To the upside, we're talking about, I mean, you know, perhaps 10,000 plus. Fair enough. Anyways, what our momentum offset is saying right here on Mr. Bitcoin specifically, 12-hour Stokes coming nice and down and will remain to the downside as long as below 37,100. Not good, not good. Of course, 37,100 is pretty much right around your last prior lower high for the 12-hour here as well. So again, keep that area in mind, because obviously if Bitcoin were to come back above there, not only would it be breaking structure, but it would also force momentum back up for the 12-hour, and that's also a, you know, another damn good indication that we'd see Bitcoin at the very least test 40,000 bucks, probably actually overtake it over time. But as long as we're below there, pressure is to the downside. 12-hour RSI, do we see anything of particular note right here? Yes, actually we do. There's actually a really important thing to be spoken about on the 12-hour RSI right now. Also, if Bitcoin can confirm a low right here, going on the other side now, meaning that we just don't close lower than this last low structure, and if we actually confirm a low, I'd basically want to see like a 12-hour closure, probably above the 21 right here, which is just below 36,000 bucks at current price action. That would confirm a low, and then we actually do have hidden bullish divergence going on. It's a potential, yes, but as you can see, needs to be confirmed, and then actually we would have a pretty strong drive of it, in fact. Yeah, actually very strong drive of it. Would actually, it'd actually be look pretty damn good. So fair enough. With that in mind, it's a potential, but needs to meet that condition. So if I had, you know, even like a more short-term look on this one, that would be about as low as I can go with curtailing this range, about 36,000, making a range between 33.5 and 36,000 even, if you know, if I really wanted to pinpoint it down. But again, at the end of the day, I want to see proof, not promises. It's all kind of baking within itself, but I'd imagine that whatever direction Ethereum chooses, Bitcoin's going to follow. What direction am I biased towards on Ethereum? To the upside. What do we see on the 4-hour right here? 4 hours under pressure as well. Maybe even another drive of hidden bearish divergence there too. Jesus Christ. What do we see on 4-hour Stokes? Will remain at the downside as long as below 34,135, which is actually good because guess where Bitcoin is right now? Trading about $300 above that with 2 hours, 14 minutes, and 16 seconds left to close. So as long as Bitcoin essentially grinds this level out without actually breaking down below and closing on new lows for this 4-hour, then naturally speaking, momentum will turn back onto the upside. This is, by the way, on volatility that is starting to expand once again. We didn't quite get down to the teens that I was looking for. Got down to about 35 percentile. Still pretty damn good. But at the end of the day, still price action first. What do we see on the 3-hour? 3 hours already turning back up. Will remain to the upside as long as above 34,207.5. And we got 13 minutes and 41 seconds for that closure to come in. So that will very much be clarified by the time I post this video. What do we see on bi-hourly? We do see bi-hourly Stokes are technically up as well, but will cross the downside with any sort of a closure below 34,355. So right around the corner, technically speaking, though, above all of those levels that we've laid out thus far. And what do we see on the hourly back on over here? We see actually coming down right now and will remain at the downside as long as below about 35,430 right there. So fair enough. We do see a little bit of bifurcation in lower term time frames, but the 2, 3, and 4 hour all on the same side. So essentially, what is it saying? As long as we hold this level, momentum will naturally shift back onto the upside, and Bitcoin will get a chance to actually confirm that 12-hour low, which would then confirm hidden bullish divergence, which then would confirm, or I wouldn't say it would confirm, but it would suggest a target back up to about $40,000, which if it takes over this prior high over here, as we overlaid earlier at about let's call it 37,300, then that would revert the potential descending triangle that is in progress right here. And then this would look like reaccumulation. I'd imagine at that same time, BTFD would be making new all-time highs, and then you just kind of have to be bullish on Bitcoin because everything in this market moves together. So fair enough. On the other side, obviously Bitcoin a lot closer to breaking to the downside here, but has it done it just yet? No, it has not. So I would still be, at the end of the day, my message is the same: price action first. What do we see on the daily? Daily successfully breaking that trend line that we overlaid for the last, going back all the way to September. So we're talking about a 5-month-long trend line here, and this is officially broken now and will remain broken as long as we are below 37,122, just a mere $3,000 away from where we're at right now. But as you can see, if Bitcoin does, if Bitcoin does continue down, or in this case, it very obviously is continuing down on the daily, I would be looking for it to get picked up somewhere around the lower end of the neutral zone. So that's going to be right around here. So that very likely does imply another day to the downside. We did identify this yesterday that if this did break, we'd be looking for another move back down here. Well, that probably gets hit actually on the next tick. So fair enough there as well. At the end of the day, today's going to be a very interesting day only because all of the closures today are pretty damn important. So fair enough. Obviously, if we did close back above $37,000 as well, that would look really fucking good for today. But easier said than done. Obviously, again, today is going to be more of a watch day for myself. With marks just doing their own thing, I don't really have any plans to trade today. Fair enough. Anyways, okay, did we go over the 12-hour? Yeah, we did go over the 12-hour. Do we see anything on the 2-day, 3-day? Not really. No, 3-day still riding the 10 symbol right there. So fair enough. I say fair enough too much. Apologies for that. You should call me out on that because I need to work on my damn speeches. I need to stop fucking stuttering too, which is goddamn annoying. Anyways, okay, so what else do we want to talk about? We're 23 minutes into this bitch. Let's start to actually let's go over here and check out caretaker ranges, showing basically the same shit that we just said. To the downside, that would be right around our current low, $33,000. To the upside, yeah, $38,000 within the current range. So fair enough. I do like that. I do like how that correlates with the levels that we already showed. It should naturally, hourly is going to be a little bit too short of a time frame, especially on declining volatility here as well. To really get that. So good on that one too. Let's see what Nasdaq is looking like. Yes, haha. Another thing that does make me bullish on just about everything else, and that is Nasdaq continuing upwards and onwards. We did hit our 13,150 target from yesterday. That did extend into the 13,450 target, which looks like we're in progress right now. So that actually we already got up to about 13,400. So pretty damn good. I do think that it will take like a full on stab at this target right here. Probably play out a short-term pullback from it, but ultimately I'd be looking for a range to be created between the 272 and the 414 right here, between 13.6 and 13.450, before potentially launching upwards and onwards. But I'd expect to like see another reaccumulation phase right here, you know, another something else form itself up, and then we can drive targets further to the upside, or you know, or potentially look for reversal. Although with the way that things are looking right now, am I looking for a reversal on this? No, not really. Looking at the weekly, this is really fucking strong right here. This is not going to be stopping. This is strength by definition. That is a massive girthy green dildo straight down my motherfucking face. What else do we have on SPY futures over here? Same shit. Maybe not as strong as Nasdaq. Nasdaq is currently the leader, so we are seeing rotations not just in cryptocurrencies, but also in traditional markets. In fact, you'd even say that we see all world markets in rotations, and typically speaking, U.S. equity markets are the ones that lead for the most part. Not always, but for the most part. It probably sounds like an ignorant American thing to say, and well, I mean, I am American, and I am rather ignorant. It's so funny sometimes because I'll be having a conversation with Elsa, and you know, I went to college. You know, I'm university educated, and like she'll just say something that I have no fucking idea what it means, or I had no idea about it, and she's like, "What? This is common knowledge. You should know this." I'm like, "What the fuck? What are you talking about?" Anyways, I didn't learn much in school, so I'm probably not the best example to begin with. But yeah, both looking really, really good here. SPY futures, yeah, we almost have hit the we already hit the 272 target. The 414 target is in progress, whereas that just below $3,900. But ultimately, it's very unlikely to stop there. This is another breakout, is what it is. 39.25 is the next real target, and then above there, we're going to start talking about 4,100. You know, over time, over the next few weeks, maybe takes a couple months, but there's nothing bearish at all whatsoever about this chart right here. This is fucking strong. Jesus Christ, this is like a Bitcoin 2017 S type rally from our coronavirus dump lows. Anyways, what else do we want to check out? Should we check out Bitcoin dominance really quick? I would imagine that it's obviously, you know, shattering as of recently, but it should bounce off this level. Yeah, probably just bounce a little bit here. Maybe we do see Bitcoin roar a bit. Or maybe Bitcoin just tumbles down and then everything else loses more than it. Let's go see Buteau versus Bitcoin. I still really like this chart, actually. Any sort of a weekly closure above 3.6 million, that is 3.6 million with an M, then I would be looking for a pretty nice move to the upside, actually, over the long term. 4 million plus would be where I'm looking towards. This would start to look really, 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 really good. In fact, it already looks pretty damn good right here. Just want to see these key critical levels held. Obviously, the daily golden cross still working its way upwards and onwards. I'm not bearish on anything that, you know, that has a golden cross like this and tests into it perfectly. It's probably going to get some more upside here. Anyways, what about my favorite altcoin, Mr. Link? I don't play. It's like, no, I don't have a favorite altcoin, and I don't play altcoins at all. Just to be clear, because I always get like these fucking messages after these videos, like, "Hey man, have you checked out this coin and this and that coin?" It's like, no, I haven't, and I don't really want to. Actually, I'm not like a crypto investor. I'm a trader first, but these ones do deserve a little bit of respect, just because they're generally doing something different, and Mr. Link is no different here. I'd be looking for this one to retest its 23 and a quarter tick from, I think that was over the weekend. 4 hour, what are we looking at? Probably some hidden bullish divergence. Yes and nope. Actually, no, we do not. Well, obviously no, because there's lower lows. Okay, fair enough, man. I'm losing it in the early morning hours. But again, weekly, I'm bullish on this one for further upside. Probably $30 is your next real target. Yeah, anywhere between about 28.5 to $31 is where I'd be looking for. Who knows where this one fucking ends up, because this one really can't move. Very strong chart though, or very strong chart though, right there. What about Theta? People like to talk about this one. Looks like it wants to retest back up to 6,400 Satoshis plus. DOT, whatever the fuck this thing is. Still bullish on this, yeah. I'd probably be looking for a move up to 56,000, or what is this, 56,000 or 5,600? 56,000 Satoshis. What about Link BTC, just for shits and giggles? I don't feel as strong about this one. Yeah, I definitely don't feel as strongly about this one. But, you know, if you do see that next Link move to the upside, then I'd probably be looking for this one to pop back up towards about 80,000 Satoshis plus. I think we'll save everything else for the late day wrap up later. Maybe Litecoin really quick. Litecoin certainly does not look as strong. Short term would look a lot more obviously downside angled, probably back down to 133 and some odd change. I don't feel that compelled by this chart though. It's not leading either and hasn't been for a long time. I think it's more or less irrelevant. All right, let's go back on over here for Bitcoin and okay, Jesus Christ, man, this is gonna be a long fucking wrap up if I do all of these. Do I really want to be doing all of these? Probably not. Let's see what's going to be the most important things to be aware of that are happening potentially the soonest. All right, let's start back on over here. Okay, here's what I can say. Yeah, all right, sweet one. Okay, let's wrap this bitch up. Mr. Buterol, once again, the star of the show, and we have plenty to talk about right here. As long as it does hold yesterday's higher low, of which that would be your 1240 tick to the downside on this low wick, then I do remain overall bullish on it. However, it is very, 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 very critical that it does not take that area out. Why? Because this would start to confirm as a local high, and if this confirms as a local high, then we will have bearish divergence, regular bearish divergence that is confirmed back on over here, which will drive targets down to about 1150 to 1130-ish region, and probably even beyond after that, after a little bit of a bounce. But for now, I look at this as trend in progress and likely to reach upwards and onwards towards the next towards next regions, which are still the upside objectives of, god damn it, my wrong chart over here, but basically 1600, 1800, and 2000 from the earlier portion of this video. More importantly, if we go back on over here, what I would put the focus on now is a 3-day closure, which is happening later tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern time. If this condition is met, you know, yes, I can have a $1,600 and $1,800 target for short-term pullbacks, perhaps, but ultimately 2,000 plus is where I'd be looking towards. Of course, it's not financial investment, I'm not a financial advisor, but that would be this. If Buterol closes above, what is this, 1375, then yes, I would look for this to just continue upwards and onwards. We would also see ADX DMI with the DMI plus still dominant, ADX strengthening, coming off of a very low read over here as well. That's very fucking strong, by the way. And obviously that will lead on into the daily as well, which we still see the DMI plus pretty much neutral-ish. DMI minus obviously nowhere to be seen. But with the ADX still strengthening, if the DMI plus were to turn up on today's daily total closure, which again you will see soon enough, or well I guess on the closure, so that's 7 p.m. Eastern time, then what would we expect after that? We'd expect upside continuation here. So going back into our lower term time frame charts, let me go. Where's my more in-depth short-term chart here? Do we want to go back down to the 4-hour right now? I'd also be using the last 4-hour low as a nice little pivot point for a short-term trade, or maybe not a short-term trade. This is not financial advisor, not a financial advisor, but in this case right here, as long as Ethereum holds that 1270-ish low, meaning no 4-hour closes below there, I look for this to get reaccumulated off the 3-day, or sorry, it was off the 2-day backfill right here, and essentially move its way upwards and onwards, again with those targets in mind. Of course, Bitcoin a little bit less interesting right now as it is consolidating while Ethereum leads, but in this case right here, let's go over to this chart, and do we see anything on the 2-day and 3-day? The 3-day closing tonight, as long as it holds a 9 exponential average, you know, again, it's hard to hate, but as we identified earlier within this video, there you go. Anyways, back on over here. You know, we are starting to see a little bit of potential problems with Bitcoin. Now, of course, if Ethereum does essentially take another leg up to the upside, would I be bearish on Bitcoin? Fuck no. I'd just be looking for Bitcoin to follow essentially, and while Ethereum leads. But in this case right here, we do see that there is starting to be a bit of a descending triangle actually in formation right now with a base of $34,000, meaning that if Bitcoin does have any sort of a 12-hour closure below here, and I'd really like to use a 12-hour for this. If I was using a 4-hour, I would use 33.5, we'll call it 33,500. Then if that condition is met, then technically speaking, we would have a measured move all the way down to about 28,500, which would also be very problematic because breaking below the low side structure on the higher term time frames, which is about 31,000 right here for a 4-hour. And if we're looking at a daily, that would be about 32,000 right here. Yeah, exactly $32,000. Then not only would I be looking for a move down here and likely a bounce implied, which is actually around the daily 55, I'd be looking for extension probably down to about 23 to 24,000 bucks. Again, this is only if those conditions are met. For what it's worth right now, I actually do remain bullish on Bitcoin, again, as long as those areas are not broken. And if we do start to see all lower term time frame momentum oscillators like the 4-hour, which will turn up with any sort of a closure above 34,130 on the next tick, the 3-hour above 34,200 on the next tick, the bi-hourly above 34,355 on the next tick, which by the way, we're above all these levels right now, although there is some time to go. And of course the hourly above 1.54, but less important right there. We'll just ignore that one because it's bearish, and bearish can go fuck itself. But everything bullish, that's how you get YouTube views. Then yes, I'd be looking for it to kind of flip back up around here and try another move towards 40,000 bucks. Of course, the 12 hours is just the easiest time frame to read right now for Bitcoin. Any sort of a closure back above 37,300, no more of that potential distributive pattern. And technically speaking, I'd just be looking for a move back up to like 40 or 41,000 bucks, which with probably continuation implied on top of that. Or if Bitcoin does this, if it actually confirms a local low here on the 12-hour by closing above, let's just call it above the 21, which is just a little bit easier to look. So we'll say 36,000 bucks. Then we actually will have hidden bullish divergence coming off the lows here, and again, that will drive targets at the very least to 39,000 bucks. Probably 40,000 bucks is the more accurate target, though. So with that in mind, we're at a pivotal moment right now for Bitcoin. I'd look for Ethereum to kind of set the tone, and Bitcoin to follow essentially what it's doing, and then we'll come back a little bit later and see what's up. So with that said, I would like to wish you the best and the happiest. Take care, and until next time. In this video...